Hello and welcome to Console Christians, where we are discovering the biblical truths in today's video games. I'm Conrad, and the game that we are looking at today is Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. And it's kind of funny, we had Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3, and instead of calling it Tomb Raider 4, they called it Tomb Raider: The Last Revelation. So what you need to do is go around and find some ancient artifacts, and maybe you have to kill a few bad guys. So let's start off with a clip from the game. This is the prologue, where Lara is a teenager and she's being mentored by this guy named Werner. And so you can run around, not really take care of where you're going, but you can walk and be cautious. So you'll see here that there is a trap there that Werner set off. And if you were running, you just might run into that trap and die. And so now you saw the trap got set off, so you think, okay, I can go. But then you'll see that there is another trap not farther from where the other one was, and we have to wait for that one to be set off as well. And now it's safe to go. So there's a verse in the Bible that addresses this. It's in Proverbs chapter 7, verse 18. And it says, "Come, let's drink deeply of love till morning. Let's enjoy ourselves with love. My husband is not at home. He is gone on a long journey. He took his purse filled with money and will not be home till full moon." With persuasive words, she led him astray. She seduced him with her smooth talk. All at once, he followed her like an ox going to the slaughter, like a deer stepping into a noose, till an arrow pierces his liver, like a bird darting into a snare, little knowing it'll cost him his life. And that's almost like what's going on in the game, because it's talking about these traps that the animals get caught in, and it kills them. But certainly, sexual sin is a big struggle for a lot of men, more men than women usually, and certainly this all just comes from being impulsive. And when I think of characters in the Bible that, like, who's a person that an example of being impulsive in the Bible, I think of Peter. Usually he would speak before he thought, and to the point where Jesus told him at one point, "Get behind me, Satan." And the good news is that with all that impulsiveness that Peter had, he went on to do great things for God. So if you struggle with being impulsive, then there's still good news for you. So one thing I like about Tomb Raider is that you'll be going from area to area, and eventually you'll run into an area where you're like, how do I get to the next spot? There's like no obvious way to get to the next area. And that is because there is a way, but the way is so well camouflaged that you can't see it. It's like right in front of your face, but you can't see it. That's the case here, where you saw Werner kind of shimmying along a crack. You could not see it until he actually went and did it. So this is the tutorial level, so they wanted to make it easy enough, so they show you, okay, this is how you do it. But later on in the game, there's many areas like this where you cannot see the way that you need to go. And it's a little challenging. So there are verses in the Bible that are like that, where you'll have this verse and you read it, and the lesson that you should be learning from it it's right there in front of you, but like you don't even need a commentary or anything to figure it out. It's like right there, but it's just kind of hidden in plain sight. So let's look at an example of this in Mark chapter 1, verse 35. So it's like one single verse here. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. So it just seems like Jesus is getting up in the morning to pray. But there is so much more in this verse than that it first appears. Because it starts off, it says, very early in the morning. So, for one thing, he is thinking, well, I got to get up early. I don't want to be rushing my prayer so I can get to work later. And then, on top of that, it says, very early in the morning while it was still dark. So, it's early in the morning, but even earlier so that it's dark. Then, it says that he went off to a solitary place. Usually when you get up to pray, you probably just pray in your bedroom. But if you're living with someone else, who knows, they're gonna interrupt you maybe. So he went off to the solitary place so that he wouldn't be interrupted. So you just see how important prayer was to Jesus, that he took all these steps so that his prayer life would be a lot better. So let's move on to the story of this game. So what happens is Lara Croft is searching for these artifacts, and she finds this one artifact, which is the Amulet of Horus. And when she takes it, unwittingly, she has released the evil god Set. And so she has to spend the rest of the game getting another artifact, which is called the Armor of Horus. You have to find the statue of Horus, put the armor on the statue, and then that will defeat Set. And as I'm saying that, you see how different these Egyptian gods are from the God of the Bible. I've heard many people say, well, all religions are the same. All the gods are the same. But you look at the gods in this game, they're so reliant on the actions of a human. Set could not be released until Lara took the amulet. And then he couldn't be defeated by Horus until she put the armor on the statue. So the God of the Bible in no way is dependent on man. You might think, well, to spread the gospel, God needs man. Well, even for that, Jesus said that even if man did not spread the gospel, that the stones would cry out and spread the gospel that way. So let's turn to a verse that talks about these false gods. It's in Jeremiah chapter 10, starting in verse 3. It says, "For the practices of the peoples are worthless. They cut a tree out of the forest, and a craftsman shapes it with his chisel. They adorn it with silver and gold. They fasten it with hammer and nails, so it will not totter. Like a scarecrow in a cucumber field, their idols cannot speak. They must be carried because they cannot walk. Do not fear them. They can do no harm, nor can they do any good." So Jeremiah is being maybe a little sarcastic there about the idols that people worship, but there's all kinds of truth in there. You're worshiping this thing that you've made, and they can't walk. You have to carry them around. You have to nail it down so that it won't fall over. I mean, why would you worship such a thing? where you can have God who does not need all that stuff to keep the universe under control. And certainly, they're talking about these statues that people have made around where I live. People don't really worship statues, but there are certain things which are just like idols that people worship. You can look at pornography that I was talking about before. There's work. People work like 60 hours a week sometimes. There's all kinds of things that people are that is their God. And really, if you look at how Jeremiah describes these idols, these gods that people worship nowadays, they are not. They're just powerless, and you're not going to get the same amount of fulfillment in your life by worshiping an idol than worshiping God. God made us so that we would worship Him, and when we notice that there's something missing, and so we search for something, such as our work or something to pour ourselves into, and just because it is not God that we're worshiping, we are still empty. Might be fulfilled for a little while, but in the long run, it's not going to work out. So, thank you for watching. Please come to our service that we're having this Sunday at the Milestone Church's YouTube channel at 11 a.m. Eastern. And I'll see you next time on Console Christian.